So hey everybody, it's Cinnamon Cooney, your Art Sherpa, and wow, I have a journey for you today. I would like to show you how you can create for yourself this abstract landscape. Now this is part of a 30-day program, Acrylic April, which with the help of my husband John,
Hello.
I bring to my community every day a different painting. We've been doing this for several years now. We're going to meet every day in April, from April 1st to April 30th, doing a daily painting, and usually it's under some theme, and this year's theme is abstract. So if you think that's cool, hit that subscribe button because I'm doing that all month. But you know, maybe you're just coming by for this one, and I'm really grateful to have you there. If you are here, be sure and check that description below because I hide things in there, important things like the materials. What I'm going to be using in
Yeah.
today's show. And then also links to the website. We've got a store there if you're looking for something that you see here. We've got a school if you need a larger structure than YouTube provides. You know, we have our free videos up on YouTube, but maybe you're like, no, I need to have things sequential and extra information and all that. That's there. And the links on the website will take you there. There's a book. There's a lot of stuff. I have all my traceables are a free resource on my website. Not every painting has them, but when they're there, they're there. And there's thousands of other videos that you could do and other programs and previous years of Acrylic April.
Yeah.
So much stuff. But today it's about this gorgeous dramatic sunset landscape, or it's an implied, because abstract, it just kind of feels like that's what it is. But is it? It's really about what you see. So get your paint, get your brushes, and come back. I'm going to show you how you can create this stunning painting. I think you're going to love it. So today's surface is an 8x8 stretch canvas. I have the colors dioxazine purple, quinacridone magenta, cad red medium, cad yellow medium, burnt sienna, Mars black, and titanium white. Let's throw up step one. So I'm going to start step one by painting the entire surface black. I like the idea of starting a painting like this from a very dark place so we can really exaggerate the lighting. Now this works for me because I'm painting a fairly high quality paint and that lets me do coverage. If you're having any trouble with this technique, that may be the cause of it, and the trick will be that where you want lighter areas in the painting, you might need to either keep them white from the canvases white or come back and paint those areas white, dry it, and then paint over it. There's always a workaround with paint. So if you're having any problems with your paint, there is a way to get the effect that you're wanting. It just may take a little more effort or ingenuity. I'm going vertical and horizontal, and that isn't to create anything other than just the surface being very, very, very coated in the paint. I want all the little pockets to be covered. These canvases don't really fight the paint that much. And I'm coming around the sides. I'm not completely painting my sides, but you could. I paint my sides enough to frame. And you'll notice it's not like a completely perfect surface. It's not like self-leveling paint, but it's great. Now to do the next part, I am going to want it completely dry. So let's dry our paintings, dry them thoroughly, and then come back for the next step. So for the next part of this, I'm going to want to use a T-square. I'm going to put the T-square in the lower third of the surface because I don't want everything to be vertical. I just want some of it. And then I want my erratic, I think I just made up a word, shape at the top. I am using a tool called a Dritz Taylor's chalk tool. It just gives me the kind of chalk that you would see on a chalkboard, but in this handy dandy cartridge set, you could also just use chalkboard chalk. And chalkboard chalk is nice because what it lets you do is erase if you have to change your mind very easily, and the paint can stick to it. Now I'm going to start painting up here. Let's begin the first part. I'm going to take a little bit of my white and a little bit of my yellow and a smidge of my burnt sienna, and I'm going to kind of make this yellow brown color. And I'm going to come across here on the toe of my number 18. This is a number 18 Raphael brush in the Artini line. It's just a nice hog bristle brush. I'm going to get a little more brown as I'm coming up.
like the sound of that brush.
I do too. I very much like it. So I'm coming up and you can see that the canvas is there underneath. Come back with a little brighter area in here. And I'm also going to kind of start the diffuse sort of halo here. I can connect these two, that's fine. I just want to start thinking about the way this could be light. And you can already see from this little effect where I'm working mid belly of the brush to the toe, and I'm kind of wiggling it around how it's creating those organic forms. Now let's call this a step. I'm going to rinse out. I'm going to rinse out, and I'm going to come back, and I'm going to get my purple and my brown together. And I'm going to come here right over the black. And it's going to be to your eye almost the same value. And if it is, don't feel like, wait, I can't, what is this? I don't really see it that well. That's because it is the same light or darkness, right? We're still working in the same value. We're just creating a value that's almost a chromatic black, you know, so that we can get that same drama. And where I go into the white, you'll see like the white kind of mixes into this, and that does a nice thing. I'm also going to take a little white right here, maybe a little magenta into this, and kind of imply here a little bit of a magenta lightning at the horizon, or what is kind of an abstracted thought of a horizon here. Just doing that there. Now I'm going to come up to the dark up again in the upper left corner. And I'll bring some interesting little shapes around. You can see that that's very dramatic in their little shapes. A little magenta, a little brown, and a little white as I sort of come down through here. I might come into my yellow and white, and because yellow and purple are kind of close and contrasting, it will create sort of a grayed out color that I can imply smoke with. I really like that. Dance it over here a bit as well. Okay, I'm going to rinse my brush out quite well. Let's call this a step. I don't particularly yet feel that need to dry. I may soon, but I'm going to really kind of go forward with a little bit of my cad red and my cad yellow, maybe some white. Kind of start to pull this in through there. So this has a feeling of a little bit of the orange to it. We'll get into stronger orange values fairly soon. I'm tapping pretty lightly, coming back. Bring a little dance of it up here. Just wiggling it. It's okay that it blends. Now, for the next step, I will want everything dry, and I will want this brush clean and really devoid of too much water, so it's just damp. Just damp. Check it on a paper towel. I'm going to dry with the dryer, and when we come back, we're going to get the next part of this. So we're going to continue to create drama and contrast and value here. I'm going to take a little of my yellow and my titanium white together and make quite a light value. I'm going to come right here at this base. Really sort of playing with that drama. You know, just because something is, you know, abstracted, and I've said this constantly and I'll say it the whole thing, doesn't mean that you don't pay attention or be thoughtful to it. You still want to pay attention and be thoughtful to it because everything we're doing, you know, it really matters. Grabbing a little bit of the yellow here. And I'll pull that out. I'm going to get some of my magenta and come over to my purple and burnt sienna and magenta mix. You know, and again, I'm watching that water. That's really the big thing that I'm wanting to pay attention to is the water. I like getting the pure magenta involved over here. Just because it's, you know, sort of dramatic, but maybe with a little bit of the burnt sienna, it kind of takes it down into a more neutral, romantic space, I think. Like being playful there. You take my red and yellow. And I might even, interestingly enough, get a little, here we go, a little burnt sienna in there. Kind of play a little of that dramatic kind of color out. Adding a little bit of the cad red in there. I'm going to kind of touch the underneath. For balance, I'll bring it back that way. And take a little bit of white, mix it over here. I do want a very bright value, but I want to leave my white as in the reserve and my yellow in the reserve. Kind of wiggle my little brush up here. Sometimes that's sort of fun to do. Getting back into that blending into that. Let's get into our brown over here. I know it's sort of relaxing. I know it's sort of chilling. But, you know, finding the spaces where the bright is and where the light is, it's a big deal. It makes a difference in what happens in our piece, right? The drama that we experience within our piece, because that reserves us some spaces to say, come in with a little bit of white and yellow together. And kind of create moments of very dramatic light and color. Grab a little red. It's an interesting transition because it kind of goes into the coral, softens the space between those two. Take a little red and yellow. Not everything, just a little bit, right? And when that arrangement makes your mental space, I don't know, it's where it feels like, oh, I really got what I needed out of that. We will call that a step. Let's dry everything and I'll show you what we're going to do when we come back. So I want to pull things forward a little bit, and I'm going to take my burnt sienna and a little of my dioxazine purple, kind of working them together. And I'm going to come across this back area, initially in a very sort of straight line. It's actually going to get diffused a bit, but I just want to start there. And then I'm going to, using the corner of my brush, sort of creating a little wiggly up and down line. Kind of work in solidly. It's not terrible. Might wiggle that back over here. I'm going to take a little of my cad red and cad yellow into that. And just kind of blend those in together. It's not a fun little color combo. Maybe a little more yellow there. I'm going to just touch a little bit on that distant. And come into that white. Just inspect some of that now. Maybe even a little more white. Just kind of really trying to create that little drama space in. Go a little bit into my, you don't think about it, but you can do your cad red and your dioxazine purple as another sort of dramatic color space. And then pull it forward with a little bit of red, which you'll see kind of glow in that world. And I'm going to wiggle this over.
It's very dark.
This land mass. So you're looking for just a little bloopy shape. It is very dark. Okay. We're going to call that a step. And we're going to switch brushes to a number 1 liner. We're going to get it wet, and we're going to thin out some of our black. You could also use fluid black here. It wouldn't really matter. You don't need a lot of it for this particular piece, just in a few places. And I'm going to bring a little line out. And what I may do is get my vision enhancers on there, because that will let me get finer line work than I would without. Make a little kind of lines that aren't trees maybe, but maybe they are, and they remind me of that in that little space. Not too thick on the paint. We'll lose a lot of these, but it will help us think about what this is here, sort of this grove, which I really, really, really like. I really, really, really like. Now, I don't want the black in the color I'm about to do, so I do want to dry this. And then we'll come back and I'll show you how you kind of finish out that distant effect. So in this step, what I'm going to want to do is use a smaller hog brush or small round or whatever brush you like to do leaves or trees with. This is the number 4 Raphael. I like to have brushes in big and small sizes. I think that that's very, very nice. I'm going to take a little bit of my Pure Cad red and my Pure Cad yellow, and I'm going to make a very bright color. Brighter than even the background was. And I'm going to begin to tap that out and through here. And then up. I'll take my Cad red and my Diox purple as the sort of shadowing of these as they come back. I'm just tapping up and down and trying to allow some of the branches and things to show through. We can put them back, that's okay, if we feel like that line adds to the worth of what we've got going on. It's purple and red through here. And bring that up kind of through that. So it's just a little white and yellow. Pull this out from its background space. And if you need to, you come here and you get a little magenta in that cadron and that purple, and you can make sure that the clouds where the contrast to pull these apart is there. Do you see what I'm doing? I'm just tapping that in. And that kind of adds to that drama of that, doesn't it? Just making sure that we see that forward little bit of flare. And a separation from the clouds to pull those two things, or cloud-like structures to pull those two things apart. All right. Now, if you want to, you can come back with your brush or detail brush and add some little bits. If you think that that would be nice or delightful or helpful to the overall piece. Ooh, we did that there. That was a bit fussy.
I like it.
But we did it and it was fine. Okay, so I do want to dry everything. I'm going to drag my trees, and then I'm going to come back and start adding some more of the lower feeling and atmosphere. In this step, I'm going to be using my angle brush. This is the 3/4 inch catalyst angle. You could use the big angle brush I've shown earlier or a smaller one. It doesn't really matter, but I just like the edge of this and the fact that I've got a toe to work with. And the first thing that I will do is I will take a little bit of my cad red and cad yellow and kind of get into an orange and work that into my brown. And some white where necessary. And I'm going to come from the left in. I don't want to go across everything. But I do want to sort of have this present here. And then maybe get into my Doc's purple. I actually like orange in my Doc's purple because that does another brown. It's super sort of fun to play with. I'm going to rinse, well, I'm going to actually wipe off my brush. This is fun. I'm going to take a little bit of my yellow and a bit of that purple and orange, sort of work these together. Get a bit of white in it. So we're playing with contrasting colors, aren't we? To create a sense of these value spaces. And I'm going to initially come across with a sort of lighter color. I'll even go back and forth. And then every once in a while I will come down. Kind of pull some color down in. So if I'm going to get into my, like, maybe my yellow and red and kind of get an orange going. Pop a little bit here. Maybe get a little bit there. And before anything dries, I'll pull those little verticals down. I'm going to get a little bit of my white and yellow. And it's a little knocked back with that kiss of purple from earlier. I'm going to tap this through a bit. And then try to blend that down. If I need to get a little water on my brush, I will. Just like to play those little cross vertices. Get a little of my purple and red together over here. Maybe it's got a little orange in it. That's always sort of fun. I'll take a little of it over here, kind of coming in. And then just really stronger in the purple, which will darken it up a lot.
I like the purple.
I'm going to wipe my brush off where I have that strong stroke there, and I'm going to just... What frustrates me is when I get that downward drag at an angle, and that's what I'm trying to avoid. If I need to, I'll come back through. Get into my little orange here, maybe back into my brown. Come back over into my purple. Kind of pull that down. It's an interesting space to do, but you're really just trying to start to get that sense of reflection. And what I need to fix here is there's an angle kind of happening that I need to, I don't know if it's the camera or me. I think it's me.
I think everything looks good.
Right. And I'm going to show you the trick on how to correct for that. I'm going to dry everything and I'll show you how you start to get those reflections like,
okay.
If you're line challenged
if you're
as
worried.
I am. So a lot of times when I am looking and I'm not sure about the verticalness of my line, what I'll do is I'll take a T-square and I am going to size down on my angle. I'm going to go down to the 1/2 inch, and you can do that in the long handle I showed you or the short handle. It's not really super important which, and I'm going to get over here into the cad yellow, and it was a little bit of the dioxin burnt sienna mix over here. And I'm going to just give myself a bit of a guide. See what that does? That gives me a guide of where that has to be. And then I can go ahead and get my brush a little bit wet. And then if I come through and I'm just trying to make sure that and I'm just going to use those same light colors that I had from before. It's important to have enough flow on the brush. Just pulling those forward as you need to. Add a little bit of yellow. I come right here. Kind of creating a hot spot of the white, if you can see what I'm doing. And then it's okay if I get back into that brown and orange kind of space that I had here, but just a little bit lighter. Yeah, see, that's starting to work for me.
It really is nice.
Getting over into a little bit of the orange. I'm just trying to create an interesting corridor through here that's as engaging for me. A little more yellow in it. Maybe over here, a little more yellow in it. And then one of the things that I want to do is I want to take a little bit of my dioxazine purple. And I'm going to mix some yellow. So I'm getting kind of a purpled yellow, that grayed yellow that we get with those two colors.
Which two colors?
The dioxazine purple and the cad yellow medium.
Okay.
And I'm going to just make sure my brush has got enough water to be blendy. I'm going to come up now. Bring just, you can see I'm just pressing very lightly where I'm creating that. So I added a little water and a little glaze, and that lets me get a little further down.
Yep.
A little more yellow and a little more white over here. A little more water. So I'm not even using a blending medium. I could, if this were just impossible for me to manage. I'm going to just come across here and I'm going to put that dark back in a second. If it was just not manageable in any way. Kind of get that quarter again going there. I like it. I just gotta get it in and then kind of soften it. Where we start to see it, and then what I can do if I get it like that, right? And let's maybe pull it a little bit up into there. See how I'm adding that little highlight kind of carefully up into there?
Mm-hmm.
Then what I can do in a very, very cheeky little way, little yellow, little white. Just a bit there. See what that is? Okay, let's call that a step, and then we have a couple more drama moments to put in, and then I think we're dramaed out. If you're there, step 11. So back to my cad red and my dioxazine purple. I'm still using that 1/2 inch brush, and I'm gonna just carefully come here and tap in some dark little zones. Because this is super glazy, I don't need to have a lot of water on it, which means I can kind of delicately dry brush it out like you see there. Can also kind of do a vertically blend. back up. And then kind of doing this sort of up and down. See, I'm doing these short little up and down little strokes. Kind of little textures. Now, I don't want it so thick there. I want kind of a taper, so I'm going to come in with a little bit of water. Look what I was able to do because the paint underneath was dry. I can clean it up. I'm going to want another little similar thing here. I'm going to make kind of an interesting little, and then pull down. Thinking hard, aren't I? But you should think hard on any construct like this. It should require you to think hard. I'm going to add another little dark value down there, which looks pretty good. I like it. Okay. I'm liking that very much. That looks really good. Let's throw up a step and we'll do the last little touches and then be done with it. 12. All right. So I'm going to take a little of my Cad Red and some of my Dioxazine Purple. So we're toning the Cad Red with the purple, right? But we're going to add that little pop of color there. It's still a pop. Little short up and down marks. Kind of blending that back. That's fun, isn't that? I like that very much. I'm going to take pure and come over to my pure Cad Red and my pure yellow. And I'm going to make some bright orange. Not dissimilar to kind of some of the stuff we have up in the trees. Make sure I edge load that on this little brush. Add a little bit of that in that little space there. Tap it out there. See those little pops of color, how like important they are? Especially because we're playing it against the purple. That's why it starts to really matter. I'm going to play it much more back here. Pulling those in. I like those. Do you like those, John? Those little touches.
I do.
Now I'm going to take my #1 monogram liner. I'm going to get my white, my lightest color that I've used. Kind of load it on here and try to make sure I don't have any drops. And I'm going to bring this across. I'm just creating a little bit of heat here. And where I need it to blend in, I can come back in here. So I'm trimming that down so that there's that sliver, isn't it? That's what I'm looking for, is that sliver. Guys, we're done. That's quite a... That's quite... Now, you could absolutely sign this, right? That's totally allowed for you to sign something like this. But understand when you put that mark there, it then puts a mark here, which is sort of intrinsically always frustrating for me. Because sometimes I'm like, ah. And this is one of those ones like, if for sale, I might sign the back. But you know, in your home, you might do different. There we go. There we go. I did it in a value, you can see it, but it's light enough that it doesn't substantially change the composition. What do you think of this weird abstract?
I'm gonna make it disappear just for a second so they can see. That's pretty cool. I really like this one.
Yeah, this is a nice one. I'm glad this one came up this month.
This turned out great.
Yeah, I think this is one that people will enjoy doing. I certainly hope you have a lot of fun with it. It's colors that I think we all really like. Obviously, I like very much these colors. John's always saying, well, you've got a lot of purple, so this is not a surprise. Remember, you have resources. So anytime you run into a lesson that is more challenging than mine, check to see if we have a resource. If this month, we've got a book. We've got the school. There's the group Acrylic April. You can ask questions after the show. You can, put questions in the comments. You can ask questions during the premiere. There's a lot of help out there for you. So whenever you're frustrated, don't think that you've got to go this alone. You have me, you have John, you have a community, you've got help out there. Encouragement, instruction, what you need, it's out there in some kind of a way. I really want to thank John for his time today because we had a lot of technical challenges.
Oh, it happens.
It happens, but he did a really great job, really solving them, and I really appreciate you always hanging in with me and stuff because it's never fun to tell me that something's gone wrong. I don't, I'm a little technologically challenged, so
I think everybody can relate to that, though.
John's like, I don't know, we just gotta fix the thing, and I'm like, what cable? So. Levels of experience in there. Guys, take advantage of those resources. Check the description below. Remember, we've got a store, so if there's something that you see here that you want to have, chances are that we have it in the store. But this is how I am. I'm cool if you find it somewhere else. I don't have a feeling about that. I realize you might live in Australia and I might not be yet a resource to you. So know that you still have my support. 100% either way. These are just different ways that we make this art experience that we have easier. You're doing this every day. This is it's a 30-day challenge, right? Unless you just did this one, in which welcome, you should hit the subscribe button. I teach free lessons all the time and you don't want to miss any of those. But if you're here for the 30-day challenge, you've pretty much figured that out, right? Yeah. All the resources and all the stuff. I hope that you're super happy with all of the things. If you like this and you want to paint with me ever in person, check our event page because I have retreats going on. And if I don't have one, I have one coming up, and meetups too. So there's different things, but there's for fall 2023 there's one with me and my mom in the Poconos.
That's right.
So check that out. Maybe you go and just come and have a great week, and it's kind of in a cool location. You could bring other members of your family. So, if you had other people that you wanted to bring and they're like, I don't want to paint, cool, because there's golf and kayaking and other
so many things to do. S'mores,
more things to do.
Looking at nature, walking. There's just
many eating opportunities.
We are
really about feeding everybody. So all that stuff is going on. I hope you're having a great time with this journey. I want you to be good to yourself. I want you to be good to each other. And I want to see you at an easel really soon. Bye-bye.